The United Kingdom is preserved whole and entire by these arrangements, and indeed the whole of the UK will be allowed to come out of the European Union customs union so that we can do free trade deals together. There will be no checks between Northern Ireland and GB, and there will be no tariffs. There will be no tariffs between Northern Ireland and there will be no tariffs between Northern Ireland and GB, because we have protected the customs union. And I may say, Mr. Speaker, this lachrymose defence of the union, as I say, comes a little ill from somebody who not only campaigned to break up the union between Great Britain and Northern Ireland by his support of the IRA, but who also, Mr. Speaker, wants to spend the whole of the next year in a referendum not just on the EU, but another referendum on Scotland, Mr. Speaker. That's what he wants. This is the threat to our United Kingdom on the Labour front bench.
Mr. Speaker, I really do wonder if the Prime Minister has read Clause 21 of his own bill. The Good Friday Agreement was one of the greatest achievements of this House, led by a Labour government at that time. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister unlawfully prorogued Parliament. He said he would refuse to comply with the law. He threw Northern Ireland under a bus. He ripped up protections for workers' rights and environmental standards, lost every vote along the way, and tried to prevent genuine democratic scrutiny and debate. He once said the whole withdrawal bill, as signed by the previous Prime Minister, is a terrible treaty. And yet this deal is even worse than that. Even if he's not that familiar with it, does the Prime Minister accept that Parliament should have the necessary time to improve on this worse than terrible treaty?
Mr. Speaker, it is this government and this party that delivers on the mandate of the people. And I listened carefully to what the right honourable gentleman just said, but he said it before, Mr. Speaker. They said that we couldn't open the withdrawal agreement, and we did. They said we couldn't get rid of the backstop, and we did. They said we couldn't get a new deal, Mr. Speaker, and we did. And then they said that we'd never get it through Parliament. And they did their utmost, didn't they? They did their utmost to stop it going through Parliament. And we got it through Parliament last night, Mr. Speaker. And this is the party, and this is the government. This is the party, and this is the government that delivers on its promises. We said we would put 20,000 more police officers on the streets of this country, and we are. We said we'd upgrade 20 hospitals, and we are. We said we'd uplift education funding around the whole country, and even more than that, Mr. Speaker, we are increasing the minimum wage, increasing the living wage by the biggest amount since its inception. This is the party, Mr. Speaker, that delivers on Brexit and delivers on the priorities of the British people.
Order. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, before the Prime Minister decided to delay his own withdrawal bill, he promised to maintain... Let me finish. Decided to delay his own withdrawal bill. If you care to look at Hansard, you'll see what it says. He promised to maintain environmental, consumer and workers' rights. Why then did the Prime Minister have these commitments removed from the legally binding withdrawal agreement?
Mr. Speaker, I don't think we could have been clearer yesterday in our commitment to have the highest possible standards for workers' rights, for environmental standards, and indeed, I think one of the things that brought the House together was the knowledge that as we go forward and build our future partnership with the EU, it will always be open to members on all sides of the House to work together to ensure that whatever the EU comes up with, we can match and pass into the law of this country. And that, I think, commanded a lot of support and a lot of assent across the House. And I must say I find it peculiar that he now wants this bill back, because he voted against it last night, and he whipped he whipped his entire Labour Party against it. And I think it was a remarkable thing that the House successfully defied his urgings and approved that deal. What I think we would like to hear from him now is his commitment to getting Brexit done. That is what the public want to hear. And I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, they are worried that all he wants is a second referendum.
Good to see the PM at PMQs. In nearly 100 days, I think until today, he'd only ever done one. The Prime Minister has, we all know, a long list of shortcomings. So could he do something? So could he do something? So please, could he do something about one that he does have some control of, and get rid of Dominic Cummings?
Mr. Speaker, I think I'll try to reply with the generosity of spirit that she would expect from me, and just say that I receive excellent advice from a wide range of advisors and officials, and it is the role of advisors to advise and of government to decide, and I take full responsibility for everything that this government does.
My right honourable friend achieved what many said was impossible and negotiated a new Brexit deal.